I think you said that, didn't you? What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hxro Labs Live. Can you hear Circa?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
You-
No, I'm
All
just
right.
I'm looking at YouTube, so it's delayed. What's up, guys? Great to have you on here. That was a very elegant start. Just over here staring at the Bitcoin chart as it rolls back to the previous highs. We're going to take a look at the chart today. We've got Circa from the pit going by Some Kid Punk on Twitter. What's up, dude?
What's up, gang? Good to see everybody.
Yeah, pit come to life. Premium captain ship poster extraordinaire in there, but
For
like
sure, dude.
a real scalping savant. I see in there all the time. Like I'm long and short and long and short,
Yeah.
but like I
Long
realized
close
that
out.
I get a 1 hour candle confirmation and you've made 5 trades. So we're just on different time frames a lot of the time, but I
For
really
sure.
appreciate your analysis. In fact, I'm technically your biggest fan because you were streaming the other day and I was the only one watching.
Yeah, for real.
I was just chilling in there, like, all right, we're just gonna have like a nice intimate stream. So I thought, why do it like that? Why not just come on here and hang with us live?
Yeah, I learned from live performing music that you got to pretend like this is a full stadium. You know?
Always, yeah, always as
Yeah.
if. Because the other thing too is on YouTube, you get a lot of rewatch, right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
and you're putting your thoughts out, and it's also just like a recording in time. It's nice to be able to go back and be like,
It's a
hey,
trade journal in a lot of
yes,
ways.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So, for example, you narrate what you're doing, and then as you're saying it, you're like, "Wait a minute, this is stupid. I'm going to change
Wait
this."
a minute.
Or,
I'm an idiot. I got to get
yeah,
out of all this stuff.
I actually go a step further, and I do something really weird, which is watch back my streams sometimes because
Yeah.
when I'm here live talking, I'm not really paying attention. I'm certainly not taking any positions,
Yeah.
but oftentimes, and this happens all the time on the stream because we look at 100 coins, and then a month later, I get 5 messages from various people. They'll be like, "Oh man, like great call on this coin. That's so cool. Like you must be killing
Yeah.
it." And I'm like, what coin was that?
Yeah. It takes so many trades to actually trade your opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so it's great to get your opinion out there, and so you have a little bit more awareness of like, what do I actually think versus what buttons am I pressing?
yeah, exactly. And how you are positioned can sneak up on you. For example, let's look at the ETH BTC chart. I did it again, by the way. Absolute perfect fade on my tweet. So for those of you guys who missed the episode where I talked about it, let's flip over to the charts. That was your cue. I think Papa took a break.
Damn, coach. F
Uh-oh.
in the chat.
My audio is only 4 out of 10. That's not great.
Oh.
According to KJ, thank you for that heads up, dude. I'd hate to go through an entire episode with shitty audio. Maybe that's where Victor went. He went to buy me a mic. Anyways, guys, I forgot to do that. Usually we start the stream with a little sound check, make sure we're all fine and good. Maybe flip us over to the chart while we sift through the sound. There we go. Okay, so
let's go.
Yeah, so this is what I was tweeting about the other day. Oh, take a drink. All right. Let's let it load the volume. So basically just calling bullshit on this consolidation, saying, I don't think Bitcoin and ETH should be in lockstep performance. I think based on the supply shock from the merge, ETH should have already or, will sometime soon break out of here to the upside. And then this would be roughly where it flips. And then there's some nice chaos PRZs aligning weirdly perfectly with a FIB extension. So I tweeted that out right here, which is your classic sort of fade. So I just want to be aware. You should never copy what anyone says on Twitter. Not only, and not for always the reason you think. For example, although for the record, I'm not flipping to Bitcoin here. I think this was a really strong little sweep and go. But don't you find yourself compelled to tweet about your stuff when it's kind of going in your direction or already has been, and you're like, generally people are more likely to tweet about stuff when it's not really a good time to take the position.
I learned a while ago, like, just don't share your positions, because the second you're dunking is the second you should consider switching.
Yeah, that's another way to put it. I mean, certainly not P&Ls. I've learned that. In fact, every time I feel the urge, actually, I picked this up from Messi. He's like, if I ever tell my wife my P&L or I lean over in bed, I'm like, hey, babe, check this out. He's like, I just go instantly sell because
Literally, I told my wife my portfolio all-time high in 2021.
that's it. That's what you do.
Yeah.
It's uncontrollable. So being able to recognize that. In this case, it's like this thing's been going sideways for 2 years. So I'm not too worried if it's like I nail the bottom of it or the top of it, as long as we break out to the upside. Now, I think if it's like banks down, Bitcoin up, banks bad, Bitcoin good, that could steal the show for a little bit. And we could end up seeing ETH BTC slide into a very normal kind of like retest area where I'd be like, oh, Wyckoff check. Yeah, it should go there. And then maybe it's like this. And that would work perfectly because it would probably shake out everyone who thought ETH was going to outperform.
Yeah.
So we'll see if Bitcoin takes the next leg here somewhat on its own or, leading, and then maybe they flip post Shanghai and then ETH runs like crazy in Bitcoin's face into the next halvening. And then Bitcoin takes it back. Like there's a few catalysts here that we could see some pivots around. So I'll keep an eye on this, but I just thought it was funny that I almost pipped that reversal.
Confluence there for you is that Yamjeet in the pit almost gave up on ETH today. He's the biggest ETH bull in the world. After seeing BTC outperform ETH so much, he was like, why am I in this bag?
Dude, this hurt. I mean, I'm in a weird place today because maybe we should go over to a more relevant chart. So let's say like ETH for fun here. This has been a crazy little couple of days. I mean, look at this. So with USDC going down and getting depegged a bit over the weekend, we kind of dumped into that event. I was fortunate enough to kind of see the writing on the wall with USDC. Not that I thought it would depeg or anything. I just saw like, holy shit, they've got a bunch of money here. I could see this thing depegging. So actually like 3 hours before, and I kind of shit posted about it. I was like, I heard USDC sucks. So I panicked, sold all my USDC to ETH. So that went okay. So I should be sitting here like euphoric today with this thing going up. But I also longed the bottom and closed it on Friday. It was like a day trade. And yeah, I got long right here for like a nice chunk of ETH. And I've been trying to long this thing since the top. You've been trolling me in the pit, keep me in check, which I appreciate. And so like, I was bullish here, I was bullish here, I was bullish here. And then I puked my brains out here. And then I got nice and long right here. And I closed it like that day. So I'm in a weird mental place right now where I should just be euphoric. And I'm excited, but
I should just stop adding you, dude. Like I at you, and I think like one of these days I'm gonna at you, and it's gonna shake you out of a good position, and I'm gonna be wrong. And this was it. Yeah. This is the one.
No, this I shook myself out of this. I mean, I made some decent money off it. Like what years ago I would have been like, oh my god, sick trade. But by today's standards, getting filled on like this kind of thing. So I was just sitting there Friday morning, and I spent the entire day on calls, but like watching the S&P out of my left screen just like basically die. And then this thing, went up and came down, went up and came down, and went up and came down. Yeah. And then I was going to dinner. It was like, what was this? Yeah, right around here. It was like 5 p.m. And I was just like, I'm so over this trade. I've made some decent money. I'm going to just cut it. Yeah. So anyways, I'm in a weird like dopamine dump right now. Because you know how it is when you're playing with some leverage and some size, sometimes normal spot positions just don't cut it anymore. So I watched Star Wars this morning after the CPI excitement. And I'm back. I'm back at it.
Yeah.
You ever seen Mandalorian?
I have not, no. I stopped watching Star Wars after the disappointment with the first 3, technically. When I was a kid.
So in the 80s, you gave up?
No, the first 3 in the canon.
Okay, yeah, like
yeah.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was in grade 6 when that dropped. Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
All that shit. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, I haven't watched it in years, and I put it on today because we got Disney Plus over the weekend to watch the O.J. Simpson true crime documentary, which is crazy, by the way. Cuba Gooding Jr., Travolta. Anyways, and then here's the craziest part. At the end of it, I'm like, oh, I wonder what he's up to today. Dude's shit posting on Twitter. He's literally just like, you follow him on Twitter, he's got 800,000 followers, and he's just in there like, hey, you know what it is? Like, your main man, OJ. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, he always does his Twitter videos. He's like, "How's it going, world?"
Yeah. Yeah. I did not know he existed again.
Like, dude, you murdered 2 people, dude.
Yeah. And that was like his previous life. He's already been down in jail for like 9 years since that and gotten out. So it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, not to get into all that, but that's why I have Disney. And then I found Star Wars today. So that's how I passed the time between CPI opening and the stream. Just a bit of a lazy day. So what shit coins are you into? Because I am sick of these majors being the majority of my portfolio. I'm ready with this new leg, which I expect we will continue higher. The spring rally, all that. I think it's coming.
And the retest is looking good for you, dude. It's starting to round out on the 1-minute chart. I know that's your favorite time frame.
Yeah. Where is it? Like 25, 348 is my entry. So like,
yeah,
I'm not even looking at the
right
chart.
Dude. Here. Sell, get out.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I bounced off my level. That's why I longed it. I mean, that was the retest. This is the retest of the highs. How could you not long that? So, and obviously invalidation would have to be CPI lows here today. We should not lose those if we're going to be bullish. Otherwise we'll probably just drop into range. Yeah. So I decided to like set some longs kind of through here for the afternoon, evening.
Great risk defined setup you just took, sir.
That's it. That's the whole point, right? Of these reload zones. They're, I just use them ad nauseum, and then just say my average ends up being there. Yeah, I risk like 2.5% to like ride it into the 28s, which is probably where we head if we just blast out of here. Let's take a look at the weekly. Actually, no, I got a good one. Let's go take a look at the CME futures. So look at these. This is my like high time frame view right now. Pretty sick gap fill. Now we left another little gap down there. So let's just keep an eye on that for maybe like, after all this, we just get up into that like 42K by May. And then we just like have a slow, shitty summer and we capitulate into
42K by May, dude.
Dude, that's my number. 42K by May. No, 42K May 8th is my meme number. It's my pie in the sky, GAN 50/50. So we've got some fibs up here. The thing is, you've got to think, like, first of all, trade at your own risk and all that shit, everybody. But you got to imagine, so like down here, we're going to, there's this emotion, there's that narrative. But like you say, okay, if we fill these gaps, like, oh, that's going to be so high, like that's got to be the end. But imagine how the emotion changes here. What are people telling themselves here? The grander vision for Bitcoin, the valuation of it right now being less than the size of Amazon or whatever, is absurd. But nobody gives a shit about that. They're not measuring it up to its like world domination potential because it's just sitting down here. That's the kind of narratives that you'll start to hear about, though, as it rallies.
Yeah.
And you start to see a lot more TradFi kind of maybe even boomer money, like just people that are getting fucked by banks. I mean, it's happening, cue the GIF. It's happening, dude. And it's not a good thing. We're not going to sit here and cheer, good people getting hurt by a shitty banking system, but the narrative is coming. And the fact that Bitcoin is pumping as these bank stocks dump is like poetry.
Definitely caught me off guard. I will say that. Like, I did not expect us to rocket to new highs for sure. That's something that I definitely got caught off guard by.
It happened quicker than I would have liked given my positioning. Now, like I am balls long on spot. I basically got rid of all my USDC and into ETH. But it's, anytime markets move this hard, this fast, it is uncomfortable because you're just like, oh, there's so many things moving, especially if you're not just like all in the fastest mover. I don't mind not being in the fastest mover. You're obviously almost never in the fastest mover in altcoin land, unless the fastest mover is Bitcoin.
That really sucks.
It sucks a lot, because it sucks the air out of everything else in the market. Now, up versus USDC, down versus Bitcoin is an old meme that basically hasn't had its day in the sun since like, December 2020, just the start of the last bull market has just been the alts. And then we've just had this chop for like 2 years. I drew this consolidation range when we got down here. Once this range formed, I had no idea we would be stuck in it for this long. I did not expect that. I thought we were going to break down here.
There hasn't even been that many times in history where that, up versus USD, down versus BTC thing is true. Like because on the down waves from like after a cycle top, it's never true. Like alts will go crazy while BTC is still cratering. And then really the main time when that was true, for at least in my experience, was the beginning of the last bull run, where it just kind of ripped and everything else just did nothing at all.
Is that the start of 2020 here? Or no, that's December 2020. Start of 2021.
The Elon candles were times when BTC was ripping and nothing else was doing anything. So it's like it's a meme that I feel is overrepresented in terms of how often it performs or is true. When BTC rips, it doesn't necessarily, in my view, mean that alts are going to underperform. And like, a lot of people were calling for on this wave for alts to not do anything or underperform BTC. And there's not many alts you can pick besides like dinos where that's true,
Yeah. I'll give you an example because I was thinking about this while showering before the stream, getting ready, and I was having my shower thoughts, and I thought, it looks like there are major underperformers. I'm going to pick on STG because it's one of my bags. I finally picked some up. I mean, I could spend an hour talking about this coin and this chart in general, but after a long shitty dump following the this time last year, basically we all made a chunk on STG, and yeah, and then so anyways, you have a weekly W here. That's like the ultimate holy grail of altcoins, which is what you want to see after a big long downtrend, which is like a low, a higher low, set the midpoint, break the midpoint, and then buy the reload zone. That is like your high time frame swing trade for the ages. So when it went crazy and I was already out of my bag at 80 cents, like whatever here, I was excited to get it back. I bought it back 8 cents cheaper. There you go. So, but we're in STG, and then you look at it.
I need new highs on this coin, dude.
What, STG?
Tell me good things.
Yeah.
I got
well,
my
look,
unlock coming up.
If you look just purely at it from a relative point of view, you're like, hey, it made these highs. It's not even close to those highs yet. Bitcoin's already broken its highs. ETH has already broken its highs.
Right.
But here's the thing to think about. To get to its highs, it's a 69% gain. I bet it will.
That's a meme number, dude. Let's go.
There you go. That's kind of cool, actually. I didn't even think that. But for Bitcoin to break out to its highs was a 24% gain. That's actually still a pretty big gain. Point is, they may be lagging in relative terms as far as like relative to the recent highs they made. And I'll pick on FXS as another example because that's my other bag. But they're probably similar in percentages by the time they get to those highs. Excuse me.
Yeah.
They're going to be way exceeding the percentage gain by the time they get to those highs. So like FXS, 85% to get to those highs. So anyways, they're lagging out of the gate here, but 23. Actually, FXS off the low here is similar to Bitcoin. Anyways, I'm going with alts. I'm still, what is it, 50%, 60% ETH. But I just deployed into STG, Frax, and what else? One other bag. Which one was it? Oh, that's awkward. Oh, lit, of course. I like the lit.
Of course, dude.
So I'm curious about your rotation game though. What's on your radar right now? Don't give me some 20K market cap shit.
No, like I've been playing all over. So I even scalp BTC 60% of the time since bottom.
Okay.
But I also have been on like Kava shit coins and
I saw that, dude. I went to look and the liquidity was too low. I couldn't even.
So low,
the bridge is like, sorry, sir, we don't accept full Ethereums. I was like, what?
Yeah. I since basically like I became a scalp USD maxi convert like mid bear cycle where I was just like, all right, I'm tired of being exposed and blind in a lot of ways. I'd rather just be in and out, always know where I'm at, never really
Sleeping
have
in
to
cash.
like. Yeah, exactly. Sleeping in cash, dude. But moreover, just like existing in cash.
Yeah.
And so I don't really do a whole lot of like, I'm loading up the bags for this swing. Like if I
Mhm.
take a swing, it's on a major or something with pretty high market cap. And I'm usually second guessing it because every consolidation you have to imagine, especially if it's a down sloping consolidation, I'm thinking I could have got out here, got back in and been compounding, but I'm doing this swing thing. Um, so it's really just like the shit coin du jour that I'm in usually, and yeah, like I'm a lot less convinced by narrative rotations now. Like I just took a news trade an hour before stream. OpenAI released GPT-4, so I was like, "What's the AI coin that is on a sex?" Okay, Ajax. So I took
Yeah.
Ajax on a reload zone. Shout outs, shout outs Random Task.
Let's go.
Took it on a reload zone. And then as like literally as soon as it cleared the highs, I'm not waiting. It's seeing some trouble. BTC's dumping. I have to go on stream, so I cut it.
Good
So yeah,
cut.
like it's
Set
all
resistance
over the
here.
place. Oh really? Yeah,
Probably. I
yeah.
mean, my arbitrary trend line says thou shall not pass, but
Yeah.
let's see.
I also am not a fan of diags anymore since last quarter.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
use them.
They are pretty shit. I like diagonals. I don't trade off them. Like I never take a trade off of a trend line. I learned that
Yeah.
from Brian Beamish over at TRI. He's like, we can use them. But the thing with them that I don't like, and the reason I wouldn't, aside from the fact that they're just generally weaker, there's less traders using them, and they don't have the same, I guess you could say, like legitimate reasoning behind them, where support and resistance do with stop losses and all the rest. But the thing I don't like about them is that they, you could just break up through here and then fail. And so when it's coming time to say like, hey, this trend line broke or not, you really do need to wait for bullish market structure on the other side. Where you want
Wait
like
for
a
W's
W.
on the other side.
W's
Shout
on
out.
the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's a good rule for those. But I put them on to guide, like AGIX probably cooked here. Could blast. I don't know. I'm not long, so not watching it.
Dude, the chaos the chaos level is much higher from the recent consolidation. Of course, I'm on the 1 minute chart, so it's a bit diff.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, like I gave up on trend lines and diags because I couldn't come up with a mechanical, like thinking about trading in terms of order book, resting liquidity, market buys. Why should a trend line matter in the context of these things? And it really shouldn't. Like there's no reason for that to exist. And so I
think
just sort
trend
of
line, they're kind of the bottom of the barrel when it comes to like the memes of TA. And a lot of TA, I mean, I'm a big believer in it. I think the chart knows before the news drops pretty much all the time. It's the purest form of truth. And so finding tools that I can use to set, repeatable whatever rules to take positions and get out and validations, like it's a beautiful thing. I love it.
You didn't need news to cut your shorts at 19.6 or whatever and start longing. That was all in the charts.
Exactly. And you didn't need news to kind of get out when that breakdown happened at 1485. That was my invalidation. And I think the key to not feeling the pain on that was that I also had a reason to get back in. I was like watching closely because I was so uncomfortable, like, holding through this super bullish midterm, then I eat shit. And like, all I could think was like, man, I'm out of my longs. Like I'm out of my spot positions at arguably the best place to be entering. But you know what's ironic now that we're talking about trend lines? It was this trend line that got me back in.
Wait, is there a wick? Is there a second touch on that before the 19.6 though?
Yeah, that's the key too, is a lot of people draw them wrong. So you really want to use a magnet tool and you want to have the extension. So it's like legit. So you don't just draw it to fit. So you have your first touch here, take your magnet, second touch here, and it extended. And it got this really sweet interaction. So among other things,
pretty eerie. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's not bad. Look, the bottom line is people trade off these. And so the key is to me, why I don't like them as much, is not that many people trade off them. So they're not as strong.
I think all TA is that way. All TA is like people trade off of these magic lines. That's why it goes blank. But it's like what I learned, I think, most over this bear cycle is use TA to identify risk-defined entries and exits, but don't expect them to be any form of certainty. It's just like this tells you where to maybe enter and maybe it works out, but like it also very well could not.
Exactly. And then that's just such a good golden rule for anyone to think about when they're trading is like you have to leave room for yourself to be wrong, or you can only be wrong once and then you're fucked because you're going to be wrong a lot. So,
for sure.
But it was this, on this day, and it was so dark, and I know, like I've been bullish, like, you were saying, like, right here, you're like, yeah, like saying you're really bullish means less on the 18th time you've been stopped out, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not here to convince anyone, but it was getting to me. Like I spent 2 weeks maintaining my bullish positioning, and then like this W came in, looked like, and then that ended up being like last March where the whole market did that and then just died. Point is, I kind of stepped back over the weekend and looked at this and was like, damn, like it worked. The shakeout's job is to turn everyone into a bear.
Right.
And it stopped me out. I mean, I was in fucking cash. I was like, and my cousin Smeety Boop, who's also in the pit, he and I were chatting. He's like, well, are you long? I was like, no. He's like, then it worked. And you should pay attention now, not just like give up and say like, oh, we're definitely going to just chill now. Anyways, I got back in, and like, yeah, also caught off guard by the excitement or the intensity of this move.
It was wild, dude. I've never seen, not since the beginning of the last bull run have I seen BTC do what it just did.
Yeah, I know. And it's kind of just that reminder, like it's always lurking, that craziness that Bitcoin is. This is literally why we're here. It's because it can just do shit like this. But this volume, to me, and everything else we've looked at today, including some of the gap stuff up higher, like I think the reason it moved so hard, first of all, it ran out of sellers. I mean, if you were a seller of Bitcoin, you sold somewhere through this. I mean, we had fucking stablecoin FUD and banks failing and all this shit right here. If you were going to sell, you sold. It was the last time we had anyone who's going to sell will sell, which was down here at FTX. You typically get your strongest moves after the sellers run out. So all this volume, these gaps up above, my general thesis that we just have to bounce really fucking hard after that whole bear market. I still have us at 42K by May.
So I have a more mechanical reason why it pumps so hard that I don't think you're gonna like, but
as long as we're not done.
Yeah. So I started looking at I learned from Insilico. I picked up from Insilico that market makers back off major forecast news driven events. So they're not providing liquidity. Books are super thin going into like CPI and FOMC. And then I looked back through the chart and just plotted all the CPI and FOMC dates. And you can see these really like illiquid moves on almost any coin really, prior to and immediately thereafter each of those events. And then there's a vol crush. What happens is market makers step back in at a level, and all of a sudden those thin books become very thick books, and then volatility just completely dies off. I don't see that happening today as much, but that's my rationale for why we move so thin, is there just wasn't the ask liquidity there to prevent market orders from just ripping through the books.
Yeah, it did feel really thin, and you can kind of see that if you zoom in, like just the lower time frames. This is like this classic staircase shit, right? Where it's like strong leg, basically flat, strong leg, basically flat, strong leg, and having that sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could see us cooling down here. As far as I'm concerned, this is I mean, it sounds so silly to say here, but I'm treating this like a breakout. I've been waiting for this kind of next leg stuff basically all through this. We shook out everybody, blasted to new highs on high volume for the year. I just don't see this being the end of the movie.
Your CME gap, your first one, 28, that's where I'm looking for short triggers.
Yeah, that's a great place to be thinking, take profit, pay yourself, all that good stuff. Because that's possibly where we get something like this again, where it just, drives you nuts. Like you make a bunch of money, everybody FOMOs in, and then it just shake you out. And then right as you're ready to give up. But we'll see. The next leg typically is a little bit more accelerant on it than the initial breakout leg, which is if you're looking at this kind of counter trend rally, this would be like, okay, we're back, chill, and then you should get the strongest leg of the whole thing, and then the exhaustion leg, and then it's over. That's kind of my view of what's coming, and that's just a general framework for me to start thinking about trades, but it's not really like a very useful prediction.
I think your 42K call is confluent with what it did in 2019, given the top.
That's what it's based on, yeah. But it's also not just that. Or as I should say, it's not just that one incident where that happened. These GAN 50/50 things, I mean, it's a thing. On the daily. Like, I didn't make it up. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
WD GAN, all this stuff. We've seen it on other charts before. I've been kind of like watching it. It's hard to trade. Like, what are you going to just like buy the absolute low of something and say like, 50%? It's more just like, it's an exercise for me to like escape the bearish preconceptions that you carry after this kind of a year. And then just reminding yourself that like, this actually wouldn't be that weird. I mean, that would be like a bunch of people trading Bitcoin back and forth at 42K, which we did just a year ago for like 3 months. So, and yet you ask most people down here in this trough and they're just like, oh, are you kidding me? It's absolutely impossible that we would ever trade back up in that level. Are you like, and so just helping me escape from that, for better or worse, so that I can see things a little more clearly if we do break higher.
I think that in order to get back to 42K, like thinking about the participants that were in let's just use Bitcoin, right? You're talking about big institutional, bags that a lot of them have been liquidated. And then, the skepticism for me for 42K comes from just, how do we get back down to the lows, which I kind of anticipate at least back down to the shelf before the FTX collapse, which we kind of just did.
Just did.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But we did just do that, to be fair.
We did just do that. But like, I think lower than that. I think that maybe the lows are in, but at least I think we visit them again. And the reasoning being is that like, it's different than 2019. Right, there was institutional support that brought us well above 20K, and so that's just sort of like what keeps me a little bit skeptical as to if we'll get back there. Now, maybe the news starts picking up to where it's like, yeah, institutional support is coming in, but I don't.
That's the kind of news that's going to push us from 35 to 42, though.
Okay,
like just saying. Now, it's like, it's waiting on the news of, hey, institutions are coming or something. Like, that's the kind of stories that will be used to explain away, because when big moves happen, talk shows, talking heads, they all want to know why. I think it's more like cart and horse here, where price probably moves well ahead of any discussion of who's moved it. And it's who's moved it that's drawing in your next wave, which is probably your final wave here. If you get 1, 2, and then we just have some very aggressive thing, and then it's like, hey, institutionals here, rah, Johnny Public comes in, and that marks the top, and then we go see your 12K. The thing that's going to drive people nuts here, if they're looking for the holy grail of what to do in their life, don't do that, by the way, on this show. But if you were, it's going to piss you off, because if we just like, puke out here and like, oh, whatever happens, and we just don't hit this circle, I just move on. I'm like, oh, look at that, didn't happen. And then we just go to the next one. This is not like, this is not like a, hey, I'm all in, and if this doesn't happen, I'm screwed. It's just a cool idea.
Point to make, dude, is that like, because for a lot of traders and crypto participants, myself included, a previous version of myself, that was what it meant. It meant like, put your net worth into this thing and hope that this thing that RT just said is correct, and look for signs from RT that it might be or might not be. Like, that's literally like what life is like as an early crypto participant. And
I was the same way.
Yeah. No, I mean, we all were. If you're here, you were that, right? Unless you were like already a pro trader when you came in. But yeah, like, for you, it's like, hey, if it fails at 25.4 and it hits my stop loss, great. I'll reassess when, like a small scratch. I'll reassess when it's over. But for a lot of people, it's like, oh, we're going to 42K, shove the net worth in, and then just like look
and
for signs
ignore.
from people who know more than me about this, that it's true or untrue. So yeah, I'm the same way, dude. It's like, hey man, if it goes 42K, great. I'll scalp every leg I can. But I really don't care.
I'm more like, and I'm not even excited. I actually own very little Bitcoin. It's more about what this would mean for the broader market, the kind of eyes it would get, the liquidity coming into the whole space, and then how that tends to rotate into my bags.
Yeah.
And having this guiding thesis, simply because I've seen it happen many times before with this 50-50 rule, where you just, you have a certain amount of time down and then you take back half the move in half the time. That's just like, it's like if you drop a tennis ball, it's going to bounce up to your waist, and then you drop it and it drops again. It's going to bounce up to your knee and then your ankle, and then it's rolling along the ground. And
it's
then
science.
It's science. It's physics. That's where Gann was coming from. That's where I'm coming from. And the thing is, if I use this as a guiding light, aside from just being an interesting kind of thing as a student of the market, I find it interesting because when and if price were to get up here, and if it's here or it's earlier or later, whatever, instead of getting euphoric, falling for whatever is being said right around these highs, which is going to be euphoria and ridiculousness, and like guys who were calling for 12K at 40K are going to start calling for 100, and that's how they're going to long this top. I don't want to get caught up in that. I want to see it coming. I want to be thinking about getting paid there. I want to like grab my hand and like move away from the buy button. If it does happen in May or June, that's a nice summer doldrum setup, which often we do get cool downs through the summer. But again, this is so much ridiculous conjecture, because like if we just like chill into the summer, we could have a summer alt season. Like, who knows? This is simply one beautiful looking chart. I might point out, I spent a lot of time on that. I even did some little, some cool little magnet stuff through the VPVR gaps, but we'll see. There's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out.
Yeah. They're talking about my shit camera, dude. I have a really nice camera, okay?
I know you rugged us today, dude.
But
like,
the baby is sleeping, okay? The baby's sleeping. I couldn't use my setup, and so I had to go on my cell phone. So I'm sorry. But I was going to give RT shade about his camera, but now I can't because mine is also shit.
I've been bailed out today because I was coming in. I have my two key lights that I need to get in between this little space between my two monitors. And I told you in the pit last weekend, I said, I'll do that this weekend, I promise, for our stream. And then I didn't. And I was just coming in like, here we go. I'm going to fucking hear about it. And then you show up on your cell phone. I'm just like, oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I'm saved.
Had to go to sleep.
So I get one week off. Now, just for the record, my baby's sleeping too, and you don't see me making excuses. But let's not get into all that. Let's just respect the pump and check the chain, and we'll see you next week. We could do it again.
Absolutely, dude. Bitcoin's hovering around your entry. How does that make you feel?
You should see the little thing I'm looking at out of the corner of my eye, the 15-minute chart. It's going to plow my entry. I know that now.
Okay.
The bounce that came right after my entry was on like zero volume. I'm definitely getting railed here. But like we have 14 minutes till the end of the stream, and it's going to happen just before that. So I'll have
there you go.
But I have a larger bid down below, so I guess I'm okay with it.
If it gets below 25.4 convincingly and then comes back up for a retest, I'm shorting. I'm shorting.
Shorting. Okay. You know what? That's probably not a bad idea. Like, it's good risk reward.
Yeah. I mean, if it starts moving back up to like 25, like 7, then I'll cut.
Yeah. Let's see. My 15-minute. We're probably just on the hourly EMA here. Yeah. So that's why I initially set the bid here. Was hourly EMA, which, as you can see, catches a pretty strong bid when you have a strong uptrend. So I'm comfortable being long along these EMAs.
Yeah, like you sniped a sick entry, all things considered, for
a short time frame. But like, I'm also looking to catch like a 4-hour move, so it's kind of like probably not going to age well today. But I've got probably the lowest bid I want to fill at 24.6 and CPI low for me is invalidation, which as a trader you just get used to, like the fact that could just get stopped out and then the long goes, but whatever.
Yeah,
I'm used to it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't hate the idea of like calling bullshit on this breakout, and we come back in, we shake everybody out, it's a big scam, and then and then this, like, there's so many ways we break out of here. I would just be shocked if we're not at 28K by the end of whatever, couple of weeks, whatever you're gonna call it.
I do think 28K is in the cards if it doesn't just cuck dramatically here, but
max cuck.
Yeah, but like I actually don't think that's crazy as I did when we were at 25K the first time. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not gonna get in the way of it if it wants to start heading back up. I will say that the sickest scenario for me is because scalping trends kind of sucks. I would love it if we just fall back below that previous high and then just range between like 22 and 25 forever until the halving. That's my dream scenario.
Ooh, till the halving.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen, but that would be so tight.
It would make life easier for a range trading scalper.
Yeah.
What would that look like? Let's just get a quick peek on here. Let's see if I can draw up the vision that you just illustrated. I mean, how can I not long this throwback? I don't know. This is crazy to me. That
for sure.
But you also don't want it to be too juicy, right? You kind of want it to like touch and go, get front run and go. Once you start getting filled and it just sits here for 2 hours, it's very sus as far as like, trend trading is quite difficult. And it's always like after a big move up and then you get the dump and it always feels like, oh, what if that's the top? But this is how you got to trade. This is how I got to trade the trend. I gotta buy the throwbacks, and this is really the only one we've been given so far. So yeah, maybe it is the end of the move. But look at this volume. I don't know. I love it. I love everything about this move up. And yeah, my entry's cucked now by a few bucks, but it's going down to my next bid. So
there you go.
Ultimately, you want fills and then you want the move. So but 4-hour EMA is probably my favorite place to fill when I'm in one of these uptrends. You can see it served pretty well through the first breakout, the start of the year.
Yeah.
Just, like not getting FOMO here, just letting the EMA catch up, and then it's like tag and go. And then
I use 12 and 12 on trend following, 12-hour with the 12 deviation.
12 EMA? That's what this green one is.
Yeah. Okay. So, but 12 on the 12.
Yeah, the 12-hour. Damn.
Yeah.
That's a high time frame. That works though. Look at this. Same thing. Yeah, it tends to, as they do. Oh, got my other fill. We're getting cucked deep. So there's a sweet spot. 25K is the 702 up here where I've got drawn. So let's go
pull up Aggr now.
Yeah.
They're making me do it.
Let's
do you use Aggr at all?
No. What is that? It's like a perp aggregator?
Yeah, so it aggregates perp exchanges, all of them, or all the major ones. And then audio there for a second.
Yeah, you cut out. You're good though.
And then it also shows you liquidations. And so what I'll do is I'll sit on, I'll drop this link in the pit or just in the chat actually. It also gives audio signals, Coach just said, but this is the template I use. I just put it in the pit.
Let me pull it up.
And so what you can see on it is liquidations, and you can spot volume on those liquidations. And so I will just sit here and wait for a major liquidation to come in. You see those yellow lines down below price?
Yeah. Is that liquidations?
Those are all, those are all long liquidations. And what happens is if you get one where the volume candle is just like several standard deviations higher, so okay, all longs in this area just got wiped out. Order book is clear. All market buying to the upside has no resistance. And so I'll wait for those liquidations, And then if I get a nice green or just a nice opposite candle on the next minute, that's my long or short trigger, depending on where, which direction it was initially. And I'll execute it on Bitcoin, or I'll execute it on a highly correlated altcoin, which is even more beta, even more leverage. And then I'll just take it up to like halfway through the down wave. That is like
scalp it up to like here or something, a couple $100.
Exactly. Or even that little mini consolidation on the 1M. You see that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, right here.
Right? Yeah, like even right there. And
I like that.
It's probably the safest scalp that you'll ever get. It's like so goated. It never fails almost.
Because like it's just this kind of like vibrational signature snapback.
It's a mechanical trade.
Yeah.
It's entirely based off of a clear order book.
I love that. I've thought a lot about using my fibs more aggressively, like, because they just get reactions so often, but I often use them on like longer term swing trades. Whereas like, let's say right now, the 786, we just bounced off it. Like, why not be like lay that bid and then selling it at the 702 kind of thing?
Yeah.
Like I've thought a lot about that. It's very labor intensive. I'd almost want to like code it if I was going to do that. And I've just, in my older age, and now with twins coming behind the
dude, you don't have time to be scalping the 10-second chart, dude.
No, I'm gonna be. I do like that though. I'm gonna save this because here, let me bookmark this because let's say because I like the dopamine of it, and if I am like right now, I'm getting filled here on more of like an hourly 4-hour setup. I'd really like to see what's going in, what's going on.
Oh, for sure. Great for high time frame trade execution is to just take it into Aggr on like micro time frames. And then the aggregated tape is like goated because it's like
on the right here.
Yeah. It's aggregated tape, so you can see all the orders. You can step in with the big boys when you want. You can see when it's super low activity. You can hear activity pick up because it's got sounds too. So it's got different sounds for size of order, type of order, and then liquidations. So you can over time you start to train your ear to hear like there's usually like a calm before the storm when the tape's about to spurg out. And I even say in the pit a lot, like tape spurg is coming in like a minute. Yeah.
Oh, that's so anxiety producing though. Like just even seeing this, like all the flashing, this reminds me of BitMEX, man. I turned that off, that setting where it's like the flashes. It's crack, dude. It's crack. If I ever want to just like fuck around and, put a little money in a scalp account just for fun one day, cause I'm like bored and I want some adrenaline, I will come to Aggr. But I don't know if I could do this.
Well, for like an arcade raised go boy like myself, I take 400 milligrams of caffeine every morning. Like it's tops.
Yeah, I bet, dude. I bet. I went to find it in a cash game last week. You guys were talking about poker so much in the pit. I went and found this old cash game I used to play in, this 5-5, and they have a straddle chip. It's like a fat green chip, and it's basically a $10 chip, and it gets thrown in front of the big blind. If you win a pot where that's in it, you get it. The next time the puck comes around, it's a 5-5-10 hand. But I went the other night, and the guys, they all know each other. Like a lot of them, they're regulars there, and so they pass this thing around. So every time this straddle chip, is in the pot, and so it's a 5-5-10 game, and
right.
Some guy's sitting in 500. Some guy, one guy got salty, got thrown off his thing on a bluff, and he's like, "Give me 2,000." Like it's a pretty good game. So I got a nice buzz from that last Sunday. But anyways, so yeah, you got to get your fixes in between. I think that's a conversation for another stream where we could talk a lot about like the psychology of the chase and what happens after a big trade. How do you hold on to that dopamine and not go searching for risk to maintain or to get it back? A lot of people, it's drugs, it's gambling, it's dangerous things, like things that just get you fired up. I personally have gone through the roller coasters on a lot of that. And then thinking back now, I'm like, damn, that was like coming off a high of whatever it was, a nice perp trade or a big move in the market. And then that whole consolidation you spend chasing the dragon, so to speak. And it can really cost you a lot. So how to control it.
Yeah, I totally identify with that. Like I remember like getting through this period of my life where when I was invalidated, I would just like go on a buying or a selling spree
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh, I was invalidated, so it must be the literal opposite, and I don't need a setup. I just need to, I just need to go and
Guess
like
I'm
go wild
wrong.
with
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go the other
it.
way.
Yeah, yeah. So totally, yeah. Like mindset is such a huge part of trading. Like figuring out why you're an idiot is a huge part of trading. You know?
Yeah. And not getting caught up in bad habits. Like you almost go, and I say this like you, like I almost go in this autopilot where I don't even notice it, right? Like I've been trading some high leverage for a week and it's just the swings are insane and the dopamine's there and the heart rate's there. And then you unplug and you just got to go like calm down. You know, in a really convoluted, borderline disrespectful way, you could compare it to like coming back from war where guys are just
Yeah,
bored, you know, they're sitting around and that's no disrespect to anyone who's going out like a soldier to war. That's a whole different thing. But like, it's that idea of like, you're just sitting in your office, but you're like playing with multiple six figures P&Ls some days. And it's just like,
yeah,
you know, and then you go sit down and somebody's like, you know, I'm going to go buy a pair of shoes for $100. Like life becomes flat. The numbers just don't, there's no excitement. And then it's like, just,
yeah.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of introspection going on with me, like over the last 5 years as I started being a trader, where you have to really tune into your behavior that's like autopiloted after the big months. And I think a lot of that's the bull market, right? The bull market of 2021. And then it's like, how do you unplug
Yeah,
for a bear market? Because it's going to be
yeah.
2, sometimes 3 years of just not what you want, not the thing you're looking for, no fix.
Not if you're a short seller, dude.
I know that would have helped me a lot. I realized despite all my
It's
setups
the bull
working both.
market in reverse, dude, and usually it's faster. Even.
I know it's better. It's better.
Yeah,
It's more volatility. It's more dependable too. You're like, I know this thing's coming down. There's no bid in the market. I know.
yeah,
Imagine my regret when all my setups work both ways, and I just, you know, the thing that I struggle with is that I'm an investor too, right? I run a fund. We have
right. Yeah, yeah,
investments. We can't just go like, we're 100% cash. We're out. I can
yeah,
short. I can hedge. But I believe, and in long term, I think, you know, bears can be right for a little while. Bulls are right in the long run when you're
yeah.
thinking about the broader market. And uh, yeah, there's no excuse. I mean, I have no excuse to have not made $1 shorting last year. I just
But
didn't.
I mean,
Now,
the
yeah.
69K was a deviation over the previous high. If I were a level to level trader at that time, goaded deviation to catch that
Mhm.
and then short it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know enough. But yeah, like it really as myself, when I got into crypto, I got into it from a tech perspective. I'm like a nerd, so I'm super into cryptography and like blockchain as a solution. And I got into the history of it, Bell Labs, and all this shit. So you can imagine, like, I have the same thing. Like, I have the same investor mindset where it's like, this is the future, and getting
Mhm.
over that was super hard in terms of, okay, it's the future. And you can accumulate bags that you're not going to trade, but if you're going to be in it watching charts, like I have to be willing to go both ways, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, first of all, this was like poetic. I mean, I had a great time in Lisbon, Breakpoint, Solana, November 2021, and so this was the top. This was when we were literally just having
I can't see your
dinners.
chart.
Oh,
Okay.
gotta get to the chart. We were out in Solana, Breakpoint in Lisbon during this top. I mean, that conference essentially, maybe not its own fault, but it marked the top. Coinbase, you know, coin launched on the Nasdaq. So that all happened. You know, ice was $70 while I was on that trip. It was like 30 by the time I got home.
Don't talk about ice, dude.
Dude, trust me, I rode a bag. Um, oh, I don't want to talk about that bag. I actually rode that bag. My 5-year goal was to hit a certain number. It was a generous number. That bag alone hit that number, and I ended up selling it for like 28K. So I
Yep.
don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it. But anyways,
Yeah, dude.
so point is that top came in at a point like I distinctly recall how like absurd it felt to be anything but obscenely bullish. Um, but you know, to be fair, the STG launch last year in March, you know, longed the Russian invasion lows. Like there was some good trades to be had, but again, it was all counter trend. It was all in hindsight like stupid. You could literally,
Yeah.
but I don't know. For the bear market, it's like higher lows for me. You know, 2018, 2019, I got rinsed, didn't know what I was doing. gave back and made back and gave back life-changing sums twice through that bear market.
For sure.
And this time a lot less turbulent. In fact, I don't even know if I'm going to get a tax refund for last year. After STG in March really carried the ship, and then after, at the end of the year, obviously I got rinsed for 75% of my remaining liquidity in FTX. And I was in cash, man. I was being a good boy. I was so pumped. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in cash. I'm going to buy the end of this. So that really was painful, but did better than the previous bear. And, life goes on. We make it back. So I think I'm like 33% back from FTX as far as like earning back about a third of what I lost there. So
let's go.
If I can even get close to even into the end of this year, I'll be thrilled.
And dude, all you got to do is catch that 28K deviation, short it back down to the lows, and you're good.
There you go. Right here. Just right here.
Yeah.
What is that? Well, it's 32K actually, but yeah.
I'm talking about the underside. Yeah.
Yeah, right over here. This is going to be an interesting range. There's basically a big gap. I saw an interesting tweet that basically pointed out here that Bitcoin's never really traded that much in this area. Like on the way up, it blasted through, and then it never really re-entered, and then on the way down, it blasted through. So for whatever reason, there's really no business been done historically between 25 and 28K. So I'd be, again, I'd be surprised. We already entered it once, got rejected. We're entering a second time. I'm leaning towards breakout from here, or at the very least, I'm like trying to trade it that way. Not selling my spot at this high, even though some people clearly have. I think, there's no reason this year needs to be a strong trend, though. I mean, like this could just be our life right now.
Yeah.
It could just be absolute hell. If you want to catch a breakout, like this could just kill you. So I'm not going to try too hard to catch the breakout.
Yeah. I think, I just shorted. I don't know if we actually go down here, but
you faded my hourly long. I mean,
I'm so sorry.
Here's the view. Here's the view I've got, and that's okay, dude. I really, I stopped trying to be on side with my buddies a long time ago. That just never served me as a trader.
It's funner when you're not.
Yeah. Well, sometimes depends how big the trade and how close the friend. If you're on the opposite side of an insane life-changing trade and your closest buddies aren't on it, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But look at this. Like, I just can't not long here, and it's okay if I get stopped out. I'm going to do it every single time because my risk is, this. Obviously, I mean, I don't have to explain this to you, but just for those watching at home, like my risk is 4 or 5%, 2%, I think is the actual stop loss, the CPI low here. If you zoom in, but then, my upside is like strong continuation to whatever, probably only to here, like a 3.
It's still
6 to 1.
It's how trading should be done. Like, don't let my, 10-second chart scalp fool you. Is like, literally, if you can just define it, first of all, are you at a level that actually matters? Are you in the middle of nowhere? Okay, check. Can you define your risk and it's much lower than your potential upside? Check. That's it. That's the whole thing. And being wrong or right is just like, doesn't even enter into it. And that's why you can see like good traders, they do not give a fuck. I'm sorry for swearing, but they don't care if they're wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Because they know where they're at.
It doesn't really phase me now. Like, obviously, looking back, shorting up against these highs in my short reload zone, like really appreciating how overextended we were, being more patient, getting back in. All these things are nice, and but I don't waste time anymore feeling down about those things. Like as an earlier trader, that's the kind of stuff that would stick with you, and it fucks with you, and then you miss the next good trade because you're worrying about the last one. So it's short memory. Managing risk and having a short memory are so critical.
I close out, dude. Let's moon.
Oh, come on. He's like, that's the thing. He's like, I sit here trying to get on side with you if I ever did. And you're like, I'm short. Okay, I closed it. And it's like 80 seconds later, you got to I don't know how you do that, man. You throw some leverage into that and you're in and out. And it's like, the fees just eat me up, dude. The fees, like the few times I've tried to do some 1-minute scalps or 5-minute scalps and like, big position in, big position out, and the fees take half of that. I don't know.
Well, Altcoins, you're already leveraged Bitcoin, especially if it's correlated to Bitcoin at that time. You're just trading leveraged Bitcoin, but you don't have to put on as much size.
Yeah.
Because you just get bigger moves out of it. And then
you're saying like even like perps, like altcoin perps.
Yeah. So like I will go to like the exchange I'm using on CoinGecko. You can see the futures trading volume over the last 24 hours. You find the highest volume coin that's also correlated to Bitcoin, and you can use I think it's like crypto correlations, some site where you can type in the ticker and it'll tell you how correlated it is to BTC over the last like day.
Oh,
and
nice.
then so I got my correlated Bitcoin. There's a lot of volume on that exchange. And then I'm waiting for those liquidations on Aggr. And it's like a leveraged Bitcoin position. Volume sometimes is even higher than Bitcoin, depending on like, what's going on. Like APT got higher than Bitcoin on KuCoin. And so, yeah, like I feel you though, like those fees can eat you. And sometimes when I'm scalping shit coins, I have to use limit exits.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah. That auto close also comes with an added fee sometimes. It used to.
And the
certain
slippage,
exchanges.
they'll slip you out like of your profit. I've had like $1,000 positions, like a 30-second scalp close at like $100. That's what I got out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I used to work full-time job for 7 years where I made $160 Canadian per day as a teacher, which, they get paid well. If you ask a lot of people, parents like to get pissed at teachers and say, oh, you're on strike again. You guys get paid well. I'm like, they don't get paid well. I'm sorry. They work hard and they do an honorable, noble job, and we grind as teachers, but they don't get paid well. We don't get paid well. So, but yeah, I'm used to, I spent years of my adult life like working an entire day for $160 Canadian after tax, which is like insane to think about right now. I don't think I'll never go back. I might pop in as a substitute teacher just to get, I actually tried to do that around FTX. I was like, I'm going back.
That was a bottom signal, wasn't it?
It was a bottom signal. Yeah. And then looking back, it was the same week that Messi kind of publicly said on Twitter, like, I'm getting out, I'm going everything all the way to my bank. Like, I don't trust a goddamn thing. And that was probably
little did he know that a few months later that banks would melt down.
No kidding. I know. So like, and now stable coins are sketched. So this was kind of my thinking in going all into ETH with my USDC the other day. Cause I was like, banks are getting fudded. USDC is getting fudded. Tether, it's Tether. I actually think it's probably still the solidest coin there, but it's, it's like if something did happen to it, you'd have no one to blame but yourself. And that was part of my thinking, was just like aping into Ethereum here, was just kind of like, where are people going to go? This has been the driving force between my long-term crypto thesis, and not just mine, like a lot of people's. Like, this is the thing. It's like banks will fail. Stable coins are dollars inflate. And so I just felt like it was time. And
did you see Arthur Hayes' article where he argued for a BTC-based synthetic dollar?
No, that's kind of cool. I love his essays. If you don't mind linking it, or I could just find it on his Medium, but yeah, I'd like to read his stuff.
Yeah, it's the latest one on his Medium. And he basically was like, what's the best stable coin that you can have is a $1 unit BTC against a 1x short. And so why don't we make it? Why don't we figure out how to engineer that so that you can actually buy these or like trade into these stable coins that are based off of that? And I thought that was pretty cool.
So 50%, like a Bitcoin spot exposure with a 1x short.
Exactly. Yeah.
Based against it. That's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool idea.
Would be sick. It's definitely the best way.
Value. Yeah.
I think it's better than holding stables because you're not open to depegging risk, but you're also getting paid funding.
Most of the time, yeah. I suppose.
Yeah.
Right? I guess shorts get paid when it's like just flat.
A crushing majority of the time, right?
Yeah. You are getting, okay. I don't actually know the numbers.
Like most of the time, funding's positive on all coins for the most part, except during crashes. And even like if you bottom out on a crash and just go sideways, it's going to go positive again. And you're holding the underlying, so you're completely delta neutral, but you're getting paid that funding.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to go read that article. I think I started it. I think I read like the first, 20 minutes one night. But that's the kind of thing. I don't know if you have the same. Oh, ETH less than 17.25. See what I mean? We got to get off the stream. Everything's going to tank.
Yeah,
If we
I don't
stay
know.
live
You gotta go
anywhere.
do some position management, dude.
No, I'm good, but I've got my stop down here, and I'm looking at it now. I'm like, damn, though, that's where it will bounce if we go there.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
like,
long, so let's hope you're right.
I mean, this is the retest of the previous highs. I don't mind being long off that anytime. This is the CPI low wick. I think that's a pretty decent validation for a short-term long kind of bias. But this is also, like you said, like turns into a big fat deviation. We probably come right back down for a few days or a week or two. FOMC is next week. What do you expect, Mr. Macro?
FOMC, Mr. Macro.
We brought you here as our macro in-house expert. So what do you got?
So I did a little bit of studying up on the history of the Fed and Jerome Powell because I heard all these people talking about Paul Volcker, and I was like, what the fuck? What does this mean? And so I learned about like the 1980s and what happened to rates during that time. And Paul Volcker, damn, I just got eaten on my fucking stop. Sorry. Yeah, we're
welcome to my life. Hey, we got liquidations. Dude. Do we have?
This is it. This is the moment that this is that setup I just talked about.
Oh,
it's happening right now. Okay. Clear order book, thrust it back up to the mid, and then you're out.
More licks on that one than the last one. I don't know. I feel like there's a bigger liquidity pool below. It's probably including my stop, and then we'll go.
Hundo percento, yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad.
Yeah. But yeah.
Here it comes. Yeah.
Dude, I'm so sorry I kept you on stream here. You could have managed that position.
Yeah, well, what am I going to do? Like stop myself out before my invalidation and then watch it go the other way, and then I'll be like, I'm stupid. I should have stayed on stream. So no, I don't want to
make sense.
Over manage it. But yeah, I expect CPI low at this point. This is the thing with my setups, like these reload zones, like the closer it gets, the better the long becomes. But it always feels
the
right here.
With all mean reversion is that
I probably have 12 seconds left until I'm dead.
I saw Fallis say, he was like, well, you just martingale, because if you liked your position at that position size and that entry, you're going to like it even better at a bigger position size and better entry.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah, dude, if this comes back up to retest, that's my short trigger. But that said, Jerome Powell has already put in his years as Fed chair. He's already put in the service years. This is the legacy years, meaning like it's over time. It's time to cement your legacy in the history of the Federal Reserve as that kind of professional. And his biggest admiration is Paul Volcker. And Paul Volcker is known for aggressively tightening because he was wrong the first time when he tightened on inflation. And inflation rose back up and even higher than it first did. So he went on a campaign to just tighten and tighten and tighten and tighten. And the mid 70s to early 80s was just like a horrible period for growth as a result. And so, yeah, like given that Jerome Powell is such a big fan of Volcker and he's kind of going for gold here, he's cementing his legacy. I don't see him reversing position that easily. So people calling for like, rate cuts or no rate raise on FOMC, I don't know if I'm convinced by that. I think we at least get our 25 basis points. They were thinking about doing 50 last time, and maybe they do that because, news be damned, like inflation does have to come down. But I also am an idiot and don't know. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, you've put a lot more effort and thought into yours take for next week. Mine was basically that they're already starting to see some breaking in the banks due to these like stupid positions that were put on. I'm sure those banks are not alone in being stupid and greedy. They can't break things too much. Therefore, they have to pause at least one cycle here. That's my hot armchair take. I'm also just like turbo bull. And I think the market, our market at least, is pricing in positivity. So we'll have a look. See, I'll be back on next week, so you are more than welcome to join. I'd like to get you back on your proper cam. So if you had fun today, we can definitely continue this conversation. It's way more exciting 100%. For me to be on here with somebody and have some perspective and a conversation. So just hit me up in the pit if you're interested.
Dude, 100%. Anytime that you'll have me back on, I'd love to come on. All I ask is that after enough times, we make it a new stream and call it Bull vs. Bear.
Yeah, we can totally rebrand the stream. I have this is so 2020 Hxro Labs Live. I actually made it up on the spot in about 4 seconds, and we just ran with it. The picture on that thumbnail that I've been using for like 3 years, I took one day. I was like laid out of bed. We needed something. I like stood against the wall. I was like, honey, take a picture. So like, yes, we can do better, and I'd love to do that. So let's get after it. I'll get my key lights set up. Won't be blurry anymore. It'll be great.
Hell yes.
All right, dude. Well, I did actually manage that position just slightly. I saw it coming in. I was like, I'm definitely getting my sweep taken here. So, but now that we've swept that CPI low, I got to move my stop into the little dip we just made. So I extended my risk a little bit just to avoid getting what I knew was a quick stop there.
Viacon Dios. Go with God.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good, brother. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. We got into not too many altcoins, a little more strategy talk. I now know why everyone says Bitcoin dumped, even when my charts don't look like it's moved. It's because everyone's looking at the 10-second chart on the Aggr. So I'll have to keep an eye on that so I can understand the sentiment in the pit from now on.
Word up, man.
Anyways, guys, hit the like, hit the sub, all the good stuff. And whatever you do from now until next time, always play from a position of strength. Take care.
Peace out, y'all.
Cheers.